It did look different at Computex this year, didn't it? This is Lian Li LANCOOL 217 Infinity, and it has this incredible front panel. And you might be wondering, well, does it have a proper airflow? Because half of the front of the case is closed off, and you have only these two fans on the front that are sucking the air inside of the chassis. And of course, you have 140 at the back, which is also a cool thing because 140 compared to 120 as an exhaust is definitely much better. Now, right here, I tried to, let's say, do a copy or at least something similar to the original LANCOOL 217 that I did. So I do have the same processor, same RAM, same SSD, almost the same GPU, but in general, I've tried to make the same configuration and even installed two fans over here. Now, installing the fans on the power supply shroud is quite actually easy because if you go with this set of fans, they have those rubber not grommets, some rubber pads that you just simply slide in the fan and lock it in place. It's really that simple. You just have to remove 3 screws here on the power supply shroud, remove the bracket that is placed on top. The same thing goes for this side, but honestly, you have here the power supply. And basically, this kind of creates a better airflow for the GPU, giving it more intake. Let's be honest, there's an opening over here, there's an opening over here at the back side, and the two huge fans on the front are creating nice intake. Now, why is it called Infinity? It's quite logical. I mean, you can see the front, how it looks, and the fan here at the back also has the same visual aspect, and that's why I actually placed this Hydroshift 360 TL AIO to match all the Infinity stuff going on inside this chassis. Now, let's go through the details and through the case because there's quite a lot to go through. So we're having an Infinity mirror front panel with dual cutouts to have a direct intake. So basically it's almost the same as the past one, but instead of the past one, what we had there are the panels between the fans so you can adjust the height and everything all together. This is just a closed off front panel, only directional airflow through the fans, giving a possibility for the bottom fan to create intake for the bottom and GPU and top fan directly for the CPU. Pre-installed fans are 170mm addressable RGB with Infinity mirror hubs, which kind of create an outstanding effect with the visual aspect on the front. They have a steel mesh cover for dust and of course accidental touch, but to be honest, I don't think it would be quite smart to have an open air fan on the front. Now, for the specs of the fans, we're having the front 170 30mm, 1500 RPMs, airflow is 142.56 CFM, static pressure 3.34 millimeters HO, and noise maximum, of course, is 34.3 decibels. The rear one is 140 30, 1900 RPMs, 81.30 CFM, 2.4 millimeters HO static pressure, and 34.2 decibels. I mean, that's quite alright. These fans are not supposed to be running at maximum speed, so when I was benchmarking, it was actually quite quiet. Now there's a built-in lightning control button at the top near the power button. So it has two dedicated buttons for quick adjustment. The M1 button manages the illumination of the front panel Infinity mirror, while the M2 button controls the addressable RGB effects of the three pre-installed fans. This allows you guys to cycle through the lighting modes and synchronize effects without relying on software and basically not needing to install anything additionally to that. There are some combinations of the presses of the M1 and M2 buttons. So short press on the M1 has the Infinity mirror light effect. The M2 short press has the fan lighting effect. M1 long press turns on or off wireless mode. And then we have the M2 long press, which synchronizes motherboard lightning effect mode. M1 plus M2 long press toggles lights on or off. So that's kind of short configuration or anything. Now, you have the wireless control with L Connect. So if you already have a USB dongle, it's equipped with a built-in wireless receiver in its front I/O modules, which enables integration with the L Connect 3 ecosystem. This way it allows you to basically control both the fan spin, addressable RGB lights, and this is why the controller at the back looks a bit sketchy. And I'm not saying sketchy in terms of it looks strange, it looks like it could break. No, it looks like a proprietary cable connection for the fans. And initially when I was building inside this case, I thought, wow, they actually went with a proprietary cable even for the chassis. Well, now it makes sense. You can control the lights through that M1 and M2 buttons on the front, or if you have the wireless dongle for connecting the fans and the chassis in general to the L connector, you can do that because of that controller at the back. What you need to do is you need to connect SATA power, addressable RGB header, and PWM header, which is kind of quite obvious. There's also a cool feature. You can relocate the I/O panel, which, well, basically you have the original placement, which is here on the front bottom side, but you can relocate it to the top I/O placement on the side. So there's a cool option for that, depending on your placement of the case and depending to your liking, of course. So cooling support, I need to go through this because on top you can go with 3 120mm or 2 140mm fans, or when we're talking about radiator support, 240, 280 or 360. On the rear you could go with 120 or 140. On the front you have pre-installed 2 170, and on the power supply shroud you can go with 3 120mm fans. For the maximum radiator thickness of 280 radiator, you can go with 60mm radiator plus fans, and for the 360, the maximum thickness is 83mm. There's like standard position for the power supply mounting options, because what you can do is you can mount it regularly as in any case, or you can place it sideways as it is right now, and well, basically it gives you an option for a cleaner cable management and directional airflow from these fans, picking up all the airflow from the side and not having problems with cables blocking the airflow from the bottom part. Now it supports back connect for ITX and micro ITX motherboards. It also has an included anti-sag bracket, which has two lines, and this bracket has an option to go upwards and downwards on both sides depending on the GPU length, depending on the fan placement on the GPU and similar stuff like that. There is also a possibility for vertical GPU mounting because you have 4 screws on the expansion slot. You can rotate it and then just do it as it is, or you can just use their vertical GPU mount and place it as so. For the storage, we have a possibility for up to 4 3.5-inch hard drives and 2 2.5-inch SSDs. Now that is insane because it gives you an option to place hard drives here at the bottom of the power supply shroud, SSDs at the back side of the motherboard. You can even place an SSD here at the top near the fans on the power supply shroud, which is outstanding because this gives you an option for loads of storage in addition to that. Cable management is almost the same because for the EPS cables on the side, what you have are those plastic clips. You can push 2 EPS cables and some additional fans, SATA or anything that is, well, basically from the controller. I would suggest pushing the cables through there. In the middle where the 24 pin goes, you have 4 Velcro ties, and fully on the side you have that set of 3x2 Velcro ties that really give you an option to reorganize the cables and basically tie them up quite nicely, having a nice space at the back, especially if you're going with back connect. This is quite important. Now, since I'm mentioning all of this, you might be wondering about the rubber groundments being so far away. Well, first and foremost, it supports ATX motherboard, it supports E-ATX motherboard, and it supports SSI-EEB motherboards as well, up to 330mm. The case comes in black and white, so basically you can choose whatever you want, and the pricing is quite interesting. So the black version MSRP, of course, $124.99, while the white version is will be $129.99, which is honestly a great price for such a case. I mean, this type of cases usually go around, what, $200? And, well, not from Lian Li, of course. Obviously, we're having here a clever thought through case with loads of functions, huge fans and great airflow. But since we're at the airflow, let's compare the Lian Li LANCOOL 217 Infinity to the past video with the LANCOOL 217. So, AIDA 64 Extreme Edition, I'm running here an AMD Ryzen 9 9950X3D. This is PNY GeForce RTX 5080 EPIC X, the RGB of course. And we have Kings of Fury Renegade 2x16 at 6400 megahertz. AIDA 64 Extreme Edition. CPU went up to 73 degrees. Clock speed is 5025 and the GPU is barely moving, 52 degrees. Wow. Now, if we compare it to the past video that I did, I'm not going to compare GPUs that much, but 85 degrees on the CPU, so that's the same CPU, different AIO, I do have to admit, but a can be 12 degrees difference. And then we have the clock speed, which is 4940. So you can even see the difference in the clock speed, because if it was just the AIO, the thermals wouldn't be that drastical and we wouldn't have too much of a difference when we're talking about the clock speed. And then we go with Cinebench, 69.6 thermals on the CPU in 10 runs on average, 4943 clock speed, and we have score 40,710. Now, honestly, this is almost the highest that I got. I think it's maybe the highest that I got with 9950 X3D, even though I saw even higher scores from others, but it's a silicon lottery, so I won't go into that. But let's compare to the last LANCOOL 217 that I did. We're having a bit lower clock speed, not drastical, and Cinebench score was 200 Cinebench points less in the past LANCOOL 217. So I'm not sure if I can say that this in general airflow is better than the past LANCOOL, because honestly the 217 looks outstanding in general, both the Infinity and the regular version. I'm digging this one because it's a completely different story when we're talking about the front panel. It brings something different to the table, not what we've seen so far on the market in general, but I love how they kept the actual opening of the side panel, granting access to the bottom part from both sides for the power supply shroud, location of the power supply in two different modes. We're having possibility to mount 3120 in quite easy and click-on mode, let's call it that way. Hydro shift fits, of course, and quite logical. Everything is straightforward in terms of the top panel being easily removed with pegs, the same thing as the side steel, backside steel panel and the front tempered glass, and just the functionality, back connect, cable management, rerouting, Velcro straps, plastic standoffs at the side, just the case. I mean, it's a different visual aspect. We're having a bit different fans. Definitely need to take into consideration that LANCOOL 217 had, well, not performance fans, but definitely non-RGB fans, which when you compare RGB fans to non-RGB fans, it kind of history repeats itself in terms of non-RGB fans tend to perform better because there is no additional stuff going on inside, right? But that's just me philosophizing for nothing. But in general, case looks outstanding. I didn't expect, of course, from Computex till today that they will change it so nicely, because the idea, the original idea, what I saw at Computex was to have a clear glass on front. And then you'd had connection type, something between those two fans, which didn't look that good. But honestly, this looks much, much better. And I'm glad that what they present at Computex, you're definitely not sure if you're going to see that on the table when it's launched, and it's always towards the better. So they obviously listen to feedback in general, and this is the final product, what you can expect. So yeah, thumbs up. I'm definitely giving, I don't think I gave Lian Li for quite some time any type of badge. So PC Crazy approved badge for this case. And for the Airflow PC Crazy Performance badge, because AIO depends quite a lot. I mean, the performance depends quite a lot on the AIO as well, even though it's their AIO. But the case is just great and quiet. I do have to admit, it's quiet. The only thing that you can manage to ramp up the decibel range is the AIO when you're pushing it to 100%. That's enough. Okay, big thumbs up. That's the wrap for today. The links for the Lian Li LANCOOL 217 Infinity, or INF as they call it, is in the description below. If you can check out the black and white version. And that'll be all for today. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, click the notification bell, and I'll see you soon in another one. Thanks, bye bye.